All right guys, in today's video, an awesome one on how to load and unload the left arm and really how the left or lead arm works in the golf swing. Another one of my absolute favorites. Hope you enjoy. So we just recently started working with Caddy. They're an awesome new partner with us. I want to talk to you today a little bit about what they have to offer. So what I really like about the Caddy is it gives you awesome metrics that the pros have, like carry distance, swing speed, gives you ball speed, launch angle, smash factor, and apex. And when you go play, you have to know how far you carry it, and you just don't get that level of information at a normal driving range. So you have to warm up anyway. I want to know how far the ball's going. So I spend my first like 20 to 25 golf balls just hitting a specific distance. Very easy to set up. Put it down right behind the golf ball and you see exactly how far the ball went. It comes with a 20-hour battery life. You can use completely standalone or you can use with the app. And one of the things I really like about it too is the audible output of the information. I don't have to walk back. I don't have to have a separate monitor or screen. It's gonna say out loud, like 110.
109 yards.
This is the easiest, simplest way to have that gives you accurate information out on the driving range. And the distance control that I just got done doing was literally spot on. I mean, I went through my distances, hit a shot, called out what I thought the number would be, and it was within a yard every single time. Equally as accurate as that one I paid all my money for. So highly recommend that you check out Caddy. Love the launch monitor, love the information that it gives you. We're gonna put a link in the description with all the info down below. All right guys, so let's talk about how to load and unload the lead arm in the golf swing. Now there's multiple motion. I'm coming up here so you can see multiple motions of the lead arm in the swing. Loading and unloading, what I'm looking at is the angle between my arm and my chest. So if you look at my left bicep, okay, you see that big curls for the girls muscle, pec here, bicep there, there's a distance between the two. When I take my setup, loading the arm would be having that arm work across my body or the bicep work into my pec. Gotta load the arm during the backswing somehow. How much, when. And then during the downswing, I'm going to unload that bicep off of the pec. So you imagine a little angle, there, little triangle there. It's got to decrease in the way back, decrease a bit more in transition, key part, and then it needs to come off. Now, before we go into the feels, I want to explain this a little bit more with visuals. You're gonna see some cool overhead shots. Let's dive over those now, then we'll come right back.
Easy one to see here, Gary Player. Look at the left arm get pressed into the chest, gets pulled into the pec, just during that late part of that backswing. See that lead bicep getting pulled into the pec. Late backswing, early downswing till about here, till about left arm parallel. Now from here, that arm's gonna be flying away from the body into the follow through. So it's the pressing into late, pressing a bit more early in the transition, and then working off through impact. Same thing here, Arnold Palmer. Look at the arm and the chest during the late backswing, early downswing, pressing into, and then from there forward, left arm flies off the body. So it's loading into the chest on the way back, mostly during the late backswing, boom, bit more early down, left arm, bicep stays in the pec, and then from there off, flies through into the follow through. Okay, one more just for good measure here, Greg Norman. Left arm loading into the side. See that action right there? See the space between the arm and the chest? That gets decreased during the late part of the backswing, a bit more early downswing, and then it's really flying off from there through the impact. So the left bicep getting closer to the pec, staying in on it, and then starting to fly off of it.
Okay, so there we saw some awesome overhead visuals. I like that. You can really see how the arm works relative to the body with that view. So here's the simple version, right? If we were to explain this, because this is something that has come up a lot in the comment section, a lot on the site, a lot in discussions, is how do I do this, right? And you might hear different opinions from different people. I'm gonna give you what I've seen, measured, what I've done in lessons, what I've seen this stuff work. So when I take my setup position, this lead arm is slightly off of my pec. Okay, so it's slightly off of it. Now, during the initial takeaway phase, I don't really want that to change too much. There's some players you'll see, and it varies a little per club, where you might actually have a little bit of an increase of that distance early on, okay? But generally speaking, as a stock video, let's just think about keeping that about the same. So my left arm doesn't get closer to or farther from my pec. Now from here to the top, it's going to progressively get closer. My left arm needs to work in towards my pec. So as my body continues turning, my arm doesn't just stay where it was. That would not give me enough depth to my hands and arms during my backswing. The arm, in fact, does move in. It's called adduction, adduction, this way across my pec, from the takeaway to the top of the backswing. And it does it to the point that I would look for of like, hey, how do I know if I've done this enough? One, the biceps pressing against the pec. Two, the hands would be like just behind the shoulder. Hands just behind the shoulder. This would be not pushed across at all. No depth, big turn, no depth. This would be pushed across, okay? Now here's a key point you saw. In early transition then, it continues to press. And that continuation of that pressing, press the left bicep into the pec. So keep it neutral, press it against it, press it a bit more until about left arm parallel. So it's not for a long time, just the early part, so it's pressed against it. Now from here through, that arm really is flying away from my body, okay? Now, I understand that it's not actually gonna fly away from the body in all these images, okay? Because your torso's moving with it, okay? Your torso is moving along with it, so it actually only flies off a little bit, okay? Now, why is this important? Well, the left arm against the pec does a bunch of things. The first would be the backswing, creating enough depth during the backswing. What do we all wanna do? We wanna hit the ball solid, consistent, high, far, probably slight draws. What do we need to do to be able to do that? We need to deliver the club on a shallow angle from low and inside. We all know that. But what we do on the way back, we have to make up for on the way down. There's gonna be easier backswing positions to come shallow and more difficult. To make the downswing shallowing the easiest, to get the club and hands under my shoulder, shaft through my bicep, down my forearm, into the ball, I need to have some depth going back. That's the first part that's important here. Creating this adduction. Left bicep gets closer to my pec. Now you have a choice. Some people like to feel that by just feeling that arm motion. Hold your arm out straight in front of you by your shoulder and push it across your pec. Okay, I'm exaggerating how much you're gonna feel for the sake of video. Everyone relax. Bicep into pec. Okay, I'm pushing it across. A lot of that, in fact, for a lot of people, is gonna come from the trail arm. So if I put my right arm out, my trail arm out, during my backswing, I wanna feel like that works around my body. So if I've got it in front like this, right, I'm gonna actually try and feel like my hand goes back here, like there's a wall behind me. So this right arm motion, abduction, my right bicep gets farther from my pec during my backswing. My arms work around my body. How much do they work around my body? To the point where my hands are about just behind my shoulder. When does that happen? Primarily from the takeaway to the top is when I'm feeling that right arm around, the loading of the left arm, and my left arm across. I'm feeling that from here to here. Now, does it come right off from the top? Typically, no. I would have it press against for just a little bit. That's gonna help the shoulder and arm rotations to shallow the shaft. It's also gonna help you get that pivot creating motion and create some more speed. I see a lot of speed. But now, does it stay on the side of my body and keep pressing forever? No. Okay, are there some players who do that and have a ton of rotation? Sure. We see about 1,000 golf swings every month at CogornoGolf.com. And what I'm here to say, the players we see, the issues are much more that the arms stay behind the body and get back looking like this at impact, much more so than too far forward. There's gonna be a little bit of a trend there relative to handicap. High handicap players are typically, I'm gonna see too far behind, but I see it across the board. I see the better players, and Dennis Sale confirmed this for me on gears, unload the arm, abduction across the chest, the most during the downswing. Why is that part important? Impact, right? Now I'm doing this with no body motion. Of course, there's body motion with it, but the arm coming off a little bit is gonna help the shaft lean as well. So from a feels perspective, that's the baseline idea. Keep it about where it started early, press the left bicep into the pec, pull the right arm behind you to the top, a bit more in early transition, and now from here through, as I'm pivoting, that's gonna fly off, not way off, but it's working off, okay? Let's hit some of those with those feels. Now, what you need to feel depends on where you're coming from. Same, press it into, press it more into, flying off. That'd be my lead arm feels. Same, press into, press more into, fly off. Now that pressing into from the top and early transition, I've seen when measured on 3D, when my TrackMan's on camera and all that, can help shallow the shaft and can help induce more speed. Okay, so when I see players go to the top and they press the left bicep into the pec and or feel like the right arm is pulling behind them a bit more as their chest and rib cage is opening towards the target, that creates a stretch, right? A stretch shorten cycle. So that stretches against me, and then that creates that sling that it flies off, big speed movement. And that pressing against from down the line actually helps with the shoulder rotation, helps that shoulder go internal, right? A little bit of that shallowing of the shaft motion. So I like a little bit of that, right? How much depends on really how much speed you want or where you're at the top and how much you want to shallow. So I'm about the same. Press into for my right arm pulling around me as I'm doing that. Press more into, and then let it fly off. Now, if you're the golfer, let's do one more. Yeah, that's about as solid as I can hit it. Now, if you're the golfer who the arm's way behind the torso at impact, which I see all the time, go look online, right? Look on YouTube and draw a line down the lead arm at impact of a great golfer. And do this yourself and see where the arm is. I typically would see the hand over the leg in the shoe, and the arm could be more or less straight down, depending upon the player and the person. The higher the handicap I see, the more the arm is back. Now, the more the arm is back, it's got to be what? More pressed against my chest, right? I mean, here's it forward. That's more off my chest. Here's it back. Which one of these players hits it the best? Well, just the second player, right? The handle forward player, the compression, the speed, the distance. So if you're this player who has the arm back, you need to feel like it's flying off. When? How much? Probably sooner and more than you think. When you have an issue with your swing that you identify, when and how much do I do it? 90% of the time, the answer is sooner and more. Sooner and more. Confirm on video. You may need to feel like, because you're too pressed against it, you may need to feel like the arm flies off right from the top. But Eric, you just said it's supposed to press against, then fly off. Yeah, but if you're against it too long, you have to do it sooner and more, sooner and more. So your bicep likely needs to fly off right from the top, okay? And you look at it on video and you check, what should you see from there? Increase handle forward. Left arm off the pec earlier for that player. And then listen, the proof will be in the pudding. So regardless of what I tell you, really, even though I think you should listen to what I say, for golf-related things at least, if you have the arm back and you feel the arm flying off the chest, get this distance farther sooner, and you hit the ball much more solid, that's all she wrote. Like, you need more of that then, okay? You need more of that. So same thing, because some of you guys are not gonna like that. That's okay, right? I've seen this work a gazillion times. It's not wrong, can't be wrong. If someone's too far in, let it come off. One more time. Because I see a lot of, I mean, I hit those as good as I can hit them. I'm feeling like my left arm's working off of my chest as soon as possible. So it depends on where you're coming from. This would be easier to manage if you had a coach like myself or an awesome online platform like CogornoGolf.com with coaches and resources that can answer your questions 24/7 like CogornoGolf.com. But this is how the left arm works. Load it on the way back, a bit more in transition, and then fly off. How much of each one you need to do depends on where you're coming from. The more it loads that little bit extra, just an early transition can help with speed and shallowing the shaft, but you must get it off your arm on the way through unless you've got a ridiculous amount of torso rotation. There's other problems with that. CogornoGolf.com, CogornoGolf.com, CogornoGolf.com. If you have any questions, leave a comment down below. We'll put a card with a similar style video on the screen. Thank you guys for watching.